The fourth round of our GT3 Season 1 race at Zolder was a dramatic one, with a collision before the green flag was shown, as Brady shunted Sweeney. Sosa led the pack in a McLaren ahead of Clapano and Faluna as they battled for second, but a collision between them on that first lap allowed Nielsen and Matteo into the top three, and Sosa ran away with the lead. Faluna took a pit stop, emerging as last of the 24 cars, while initially Clapano had dropped to 10th, but was involved in a few more incidents, soon colliding with Mattingly, sparking an incident that led to Portis being turned around, Sierra being collected, and a hard crash for Alves. Bumping into Sichting costed him a few seconds as he waited for Sichting to return to track. Then, trying to avoid doing the same thing again, he was struck by Scott, so he was now all the way down to 21st. Scott then had an incident, picking up significant suspension damage and retiring from the race. Sweeney and Ginks battling over 19th had collided, although there wasn't much to lose at the back, and even Wolf smashing into them seemed to get away without damage. Sweeney appeared to have slight suspension damage but stayed out rather than pit for repairs. His race got a bit worse with this crash, and there had only been about 3 racing laps covering all of these early incidents. Collis was having a lot of trouble, having almost started the race from the pits and spun a few times. By the halfway point of this race, which would go on for 29 laps, Sosa led Nielsen by 7 seconds, while the pack was closer behind Nielsen. The McLarens were doing well, with 3 of them in the top 5. Ginks running in 20th was having some trouble and would take a pit stop, although it's not clear why. On lap 18, Faluna was almost certainly going to overtake Gould, and Gould had slowed down, probably trying to let Faluna through, but must have done it too late, as Faluna's car fishtailed off the track. It was an unfortunate incident, and Faluna, already down in 17th after the start trouble, retired from the race, and it's not clear why, but Gould also retired after driving into the pits. Several laps earlier, Polo had passed Dan Shade and challenged Matteo for third, but didn't get past, and riding on board with him, still running in fourth, Matteo ahead had crashed, and despite getting collected in that incident, Polo's car seemed fine, and he was now in third, while Matteo would retire a couple of laps later. On lap 20, Love moved up to third, eventually followed by Dan Shade, so while Polo's car appeared to be handling well, he probably had picked up some damage and dropped down the order. On lap 22, Clapano in 14th had contact with Mattingly, resulting in a spin, and he retired from the race. Mattingly then had contact with Portis, as Portis in 12th had bounced on the curb, which fortunately didn't collect the arriving Lamborghini of Sierra. While Collis and Wolf were battling for 16th and had an incident of their own. Collis went defensive but spun, collecting Wolf, although the incident was so slow that no damage was done. Sierra's Lamborghini appeared to be handling badly and spun after a pit stop, but he was still in 15th and had motivation to stay in the race. Ginks had been awarded an automatic penalty for accidentally cutting the chicane, and despite slowing down, it was a drive-through penalty, which seems a bit harsh. But an even more harsh penalty was awarded to Brady in 5th, pretty much for the same thing. He had slowed down, even losing a position to Polo, but was awarded a 10-second stop-and-go penalty. Sweeney appeared to run out of fuel before the end, but would finish the race after exiting the pits on the final lap. Love in 3rd also appeared to be out of fuel, so Dan Shade passing him on the final lap moved from 7th potentially onto the podium, while there was a 4-way battle for 5th, with Polo being challenged by Brady, trying to retake his position despite his automatic penalty, ahead of Horn and Panda. There wasn't much space for Polo's car at the chicane, so he skipped it and stayed in front, while Brady switching to the right didn't seem to notice Love going slowly, and collided with his car, then got shunted by Horn, and with only a few corners to go before the checkered flag, Panda stuck his car in front and was sent off track. A few corners ahead, Sosa crossed the line to take his 2nd of 5 wins that season, having driven consistently from the start while there was chaos behind him, and would go on to win the championship. It was Nielsen's first race of the season, so he started off with a good result in 2nd, and Dan Shade took 3rd. The championship standings reflected some post-race penalties. No doubt the stewards for that race had a lot of incidents to look through. The number of position changes in the top 3 and the drama throughout the field, I think, made this a classic sprint race.